Today in crypto, Bitcoin is still struggling to crack $10,000, and the question must be asked, if we cannot beat $10,000, well, who the heck is going to buy Bitcoin at $100,000, especially if all of our bull run fantasies actually become true? Ethereum Defi continues to grow strong with its eyes set on the hundreds of trillions of dollars locked in legacy finance and miner selling pressure. Well, it can only last for so long. The cryptolark, this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the wild, wild land of crypto. So let's start off today by talking about the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has made a third breakout from our symmetrical triangle we've been watching here on the channel for the last couple of weeks. Maybe this will be our moment to really have a definitive breakout moment and finally leave that triangle behind. Or we could just get bartered again because, Bitcoin is what it does sometimes. But it'd be really nice to make a solid attempt to finally crack $10,000. And look, in spite of that short dip that we saw yesterday, it was actually a kind of a bullish dip because we actually saw the 200 moving average on the 4-hour continue to be respected as a line of support, which is good for short-term overall bullish momentum. Now, there's a 66% chance that we actually do see a price breakout to the upside from the symmetrical triangle pattern. If we now see this line of resistance at the top of the triangle being flipped into support, then that would be a great springboard for challenging $10,000 once again. Now, if we do break down out of this, the bottom trend line here around $9,350, that would be a key line of support to watch for. Now, if that breaks, then it kind of invalidates this bullish continuation pattern, at least in the short term. Now, looking over at the daily, it's crazy to see how the price of Bitcoin has just been cruising around in this really tight range for like the last 6 weeks, just bouncing between $8,500 and $10,000. Now, zooming out to the weekly, you can see that we are still trying to break out of this just super triangle that we've been in forever, for like 2 years. We absolutely need to crack $10,500 to make a definitive move past this and to finally leave this behind and jump into the next macro reversal bull trend here for the market. But if we get rejected again around these levels, there's of course a lot of room below us for a price correction to happen. But the MACD on the weekly continues to look very, very strong with a solid uptrend in place. Hopefully we see that continuing to play out. It looks very reminiscent to me of the 2019 price run where we had a strong MACD crossover. Personally, I am holding my Bitcoin here. Sure, there may be some big price corrections in 2020, especially if we can't conquer $10,500 in the coming weeks. But those price corrections, they are only chances to buy the dip before we make the mission to the moon. A big thank you to PRIMEXBT for sponsoring today's episode. PRIMEXBT is an awesome user-friendly exchange for trading a wide range of different assets. You can trade the top cryptocurrencies like Ethereum and Bitcoin. You can trade Forex like yens and pounds and euros. You can do top commodities like gold and oil, and stock indexes like the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. All of those things tradable against Bitcoin and with deep liquidity. All of these markets are also tradable with generous leverage, and they are all tradable without the need for pesky KYC. Now, trading is not for everyone, and PRIMEXBT is only for advanced traders who understand how to properly manage their risk. But if that is you, then there is a link down below where you can learn more about PRIMEXBT. Okay, now let's talk about some Ethereum news. The total value locked in Ethereum DeFi has once again surpassed $1 billion, the majority of which is comprised of Ethereum and stablecoins, but increasingly we are seeing new assets being thrown into the mix. Things like wrapped Bitcoin. We're also seeing ERC20 tokens like Basic Attention slowly being started to wrap into this DeFi mix. And soon we may even see the likes of shipping invoices being tokenized and put into MakerDAO, which is some really game-changing stuff for enterprises. The total value locked in DeFi, it did take a big hit back on Black Thursday as that cascade of liquidations and falling values put a big strain on the key DeFi platforms. But much like the rest of the market, it has bounced back with a lot of intensity. Now, the DeFi sector, I think, is something that is primed for just mind-bending growth in the coming years. This is where the real revolution is going to start happening in crypto. Check out this chart here. It shows the market cap of gold, which is our target for Bitcoin. Now it shows that versus the market cap of the entire financial markets. Everything seen here, including gold, and yes, even including Bitcoin, can and will be brought into decentralized finance. It can all be tokenized. We're talking stocks and dollars and debt and real estate and derivatives, all of it, and a lot more besides. And the number one DeFi platform right now is Ethereum. Investing in some of the protocols working on decentralized finance today, before this movement actually gets huge, which it's going to, I think it's going to bring insane returns over the coming decades. I'm talking about cryptos like Kyber, Synthetics, Bancor, Lend, Maker, Kava. All of these are poised for huge growth moving forward. Or perhaps you prefer the enterprise angle for what's happening in the crypto space. You might want to look at cryptos like Maker or Unibright or Chainlink. Whichever way you want to cut it, this sector is going to see mind-boggling growth. Right now, today, companies can leverage enterprise Ethereum solutions easier than ever before, thanks, of course, to players like Ernst & Young. It now costs just 5 cents to send a private transaction on the public Ethereum mainnet using Ernst & Young's Nightfall. 5 cents to move an invoice from company A to company B. It's done securely, it's done privately, quickly. The legacy systems, they're not going to be able to keep up with this in the coming years. Companies using Ethereum, it's not just some theoretical thing that's going to happen at some point in the future. No, it's actually happening today. Take this as an example. French bank Société Générale is a very active player in the Ethereum space. Its Ethereum address has completed nearly 3,000 transactions. It owns 1,400 different tokens, including tokenized currency and tokenized stocks. And of course, Société Générale also famously issued out a $112 million bond on the Ethereum mainnet. It's happening, it's here, and it's only going to get bigger. This is going to be a key trend in the coming years. Next up, the Loopring exchange, which gained a lot of attention for being the first exchange to use rollups, has just released a demonstration of what it looks like sending USDT using their layer 2 scaling solutions. It's sent fast, it's sent for free, and it's super secure to do it. This solid demonstration of rollup tech comes days just after the announcement from OMG that they're going to be running Tether on their layer 2 solution as well. And this is coming at a perfect time, all this layer 2 stuff happening on Ethereum, because over the last 24 hours, an average of 9,500 unique Ethereum addresses were transferring USDT every single hour. That is a new all-time high for USDT transfers on Ethereum, and it's an increase of more than 820% since January this year. Next up, let's talk about what the Bitcoin miners are up to. It seems that the strong Bitcoin miners, they are holding their Bitcoin currently, while the small guys, they're starting to run out of steam and feeling a lot of that selling pressure come on board. So this chart here shows that miners, they're mostly holding their Bitcoin when the price is under $10,000. Meaning that price spikes are actually luring the miners out to offload their inventory. So anytime I get above $10,000, in come the miners, and they're selling Bitcoin at those prices. Now we can already see what a dramatic effect the Bitcoin halving has had on the miner flow moving into exchanges. Look at this chart here, and you can see that the flow of Bitcoin into exchanges from miners is about half of what it was a month ago, only spiking up when the price of Bitcoin spikes over $10,000. So this desire by miners to sell over $10,000 is going to continue to act as a price ceiling until their inventories start running short from Bitcoin that was mined before the Bitcoin halving, especially the smaller miners. The big miners might hold for a longer term price point. Last halving, we saw the price of Bitcoin range sideways for like 6 months before it really started to take off. So regardless of how long it takes the miners to actually run short on their supply, And that is when we are going to see a real fundamental shift in really miners simply not having enough Bitcoin to sell onto the markets and to continue to suppress the price with. Even though we have a lot of big buyers coming in, this daily sell pressure from miners who have big inventories from before the halving continues to be a downward price pressure. We're not even talking here about big players like Grayscale and all that stuff. You gotta keep this in mind. Right now, there's only 2,300,000 Bitcoin for sale across all of the exchanges. Sell pressure from miners, it is diminishing. Demand, it is rising across the board. How long do you really think we stay under $10,000 for? Once these miners run out of that sell pressure, watch out, watch out. Stack sats and chill, my friends. The next bull run, it is going to be a wild, wild ride. And finally, for today, what would it mean to sustain the price of Bitcoin at $100,000? Well, if the price of Bitcoin can reach $100,000 in order to remain stable there, we would actually need $90 million a day worth of Bitcoin to be absorbed by the market. That is, of course, the equivalent of the 900 Bitcoin, which are currently being mined on a daily basis by miners and potentially sold into the market on a daily basis by the miners. So right now, the market is absorbing $9 million plus of Bitcoin a day, with an extra sprinkling, of course, of that, pre-halving Bitcoin being sold off by the miners. Now, that's a lot of daily cash flow, but you have to keep it in mind. When Bitcoin reaches $100,000, there is going to be an insane retail frenzy happening. So you might think, wow, $90 million is a lot of new money every day coming into the market. But this retail frenzy that's going to come when $100,000 Bitcoin hits, it's going to be a frenzy that's going to make 2017 look like nothing more than a blip on the radar. Well, for a while anyway, after which we're going to get another, crushing bear market and all that fun stuff. But for Bitcoin to reach $100,000 in the first place, we actually need to really see big adoption coming on board. We need the institutions on board. We need retail on board. We need wealthy buyers on board. We need more volume for futures. We need more volume for options. We need more volume on spot exchanges. And you know what? All of that stuff is happening in record amounts right now. Record levels. It's crazy. I've covered in detail on the channel here a lot of this different stuff, all these different pieces coming together in a whole series of videos over the last 6 months or stuff. So if you guys have been watching the channel, you know what's up. But I've had some people ask me, hey Lark, who the heck is going to buy Bitcoin at $100,000 anyway? Well, my answer is everyone. The same people buying Bitcoin at $10,000 and who bought Bitcoin at $20,000. Except there's just going to be a lot more of them buying Bitcoin. I mean, seriously, $100,000 Bitcoin that only gives us a market cap of around $2.5 trillion, or about a third the market cap of gold. And the last time that I checked, people still buy gold like crazy. Its price has not become a major barrier for big investors to get it and buy it. $100,000 Bitcoin, it's also only twice the market cap of Amazon, which is around $1.2 trillion, and yet people still buy Amazon stocks at $2,500 a piece. Asking who will buy Bitcoin at $100,000, it's like asking who will buy Bitcoin at $10,000, but back when Bitcoin was at $1,000. Perceptions change. In fact, $100,000 Bitcoin is probably going to bring more people in. It always seems impossible until it is done. When Bitcoin crosses over $100,000, it's just going to flip a switch for a lot of investors. That's a serious investment. I need to get some of that now. Seems crazy, but, people love buying tops and selling bottoms. Can't fight human nature, guys. Anyway, your question for today. Do you think that a $100,000 Bitcoin will actually seem too scary for investors? Or do you think that Bitcoin at $100,000 is going to be a tempting thing for investors, and that big number, that big psychological barrier when we cross it, is actually going to be the catnip that we need to lure these investors in to buy Bitcoin? You let me know your opinion down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video. As always, super appreciate your time. So thank you for coming to watch this video. And this dude here talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. Long live the blockchain. And peace out till next time.